Let's take a look at garden planting patterns. In particular, we're going to look at different types of spacing and how that can impact the overall yield of a garden. In this example, we will assume we have a planting area of 50 square feet. So it'll be 5 feet wide and 10 feet long. To grow broccoli, and we look on the seed packet and we see that broccoli needs to be spaced 18 inches apart, so that's 1.5 feet apart. And the reason being, the plant gets rather big before you can harvest the broccoli. So you see the blue circle here, that represents an 18-inch diameter circle, so that's the size of a full-grown broccoli plant. To cram as many broccoli as we can into this 50 square feet area, you can see we have 18 plants, and notice there is room to spare on the right hand side as well as on the bottom, and there's even some gaps in between all of the plants. Now in reality, you could probably plant so that it would go over the line slightly, and you may be able to say, well, you could fit another row there on the right hand side, but for the purpose of this assignment and just this example, we're going to recognize that we don't want to go over the line at all. And if that's the case, then the max that we can fit is 18 plants. So 18 plants in our 50 square feet, as you space them out, would look like so. This is a traditional or typical broccoli planting. Notice all the blank space in the middle of the plants. Not only is that wasted space where it's not producing anything that we can harvest, also it is soil that we need to water, and if it's soil that we're watering, it's also going to be soil that will produce weeds that we will need to pull if we want there not to be any competition for our broccoli. Arrange these with triangular spacing, which is basically off-centered spacing, and you can see that when we do so, our 18 plants can be consolidated just a little bit. We still have some gaps on the sides, but notice how the area on the right hand side has opened up, and we may be able to squeeze a few more plants in there. According to the spacing available, we can have 2 more plants, and we bump it up from 18 to 20 broccoli plants, and that's just from rearranging the spacing at which they're planted. You may say to yourself that 1 extra plant or 2 extra plants is not that big of a deal, but notice the comparison on the left and the right. So on the left hand side with our triangular spacing, we can squeeze 10 plants into the 25 square feet, and on the right hand side we only get 9 plants, and then again look at that extra space. So our book uses the average statistic of 10%. So by planting on a triangular spacing, typically we can get 10% more plants into a given area. And so it's typically a good idea. At the same configuration, but with lettuce. And for this example, we're going to assume this is a leaf lettuce, which would be like a red leaf lettuce, a Bibb lettuce, or a butter lettuce, as opposed to the head lettuce, which is more like a romaine lettuce. The head lettuce takes longer to mature. The leaf lettuce you can harvest at a smaller size, and so therefore when you are spacing your leaf lettuce, you can pack them much more closely together. So here in our 50 square feet we can fit 72 leaf lettuce plants, and I went ahead and spaced them out properly, but trust me that you can't squeeze any more on a square spacing. Convert that to a triangular spacing, and notice all the room we've opened up on the right hand side. we still have only 72 plants here. And so when we add our extras, we can bump it up to 88 plants for this growing area and much less wasted space. Regular spacing method is a little bit extra work, a little bit extra precision required in setting it up, but if you had the time and you had the ability to do so, it's well worth your effort in terms of yield per area. Now, one other way that we can expand our harvest in a given area is with companion planting. There's many different ways we can plant two different plants in the same place at the same time, and there's different reasons why it may be a good idea or a bad idea to do so. Let's take a look at the companion planting of broccoli and lettuce, kind of a classic example, two plants that go well together. And here we see that same triangular spacing, and instead of all lettuce, 88 plants, we've taken out 20 lettuce plants and replaced them with broccoli. Now this is the beginning of the planting, so everything is small, and that's why the broccoli are not needing the 18 inches right away. But notice how the broccoli is spaced. As the broccoli grows, there will be 18 inches of spacing apart in order to allow them to have the right size. So basically what it looks like is that there's a row of just lettuce, and then you'll have a row of broccoli and lettuce. In between the broccoli you'll have a lettuce plant. Then you do another row of just lettuce, and you're alternating of a lettuce row and a broccoli lettuce row. And then even then, the second broccoli lettuce row is alternated. Starts with a lettuce, then goes to a broccoli. So you get this really nice looking pattern. And within about 30 days, 30 to 40 days, your lettuce is ready to harvest, and you actually remove the lettuce completely. And then what you're left with is just your 20 broccoli plants. And then as those grow, they have plenty of space now to mature, and they'll take twice as long to mature, and it's only when they're in the mature phase that you start to harvest from them. So within the same amount of space, you can sneak in a lettuce crop and still have enough space for your broccoli to grow. So let's look at the math. Let's do the math and see if this truly is a good idea. So if we were to plant these separately, we could do 20 broccoli in a 50 square foot area. We could do 88 lettuce in a second bed of 50 square feet. And so the overall amount is you'd get 20 broccoli and you'd get 88 lettuce per 100 square feet. But the way we did it when we plant them together, we get 20 broccoli and 68 lettuce for every 50 square feet. So notice our lettuce yield is reduced, but we have dropped the amount of space we've used in half. So let's assume we could do a second bed of 20 broccoli and 68 lettuce. Just like we had two beds up top, we'll have two beds in the interplant. And now if everything goes well, we'll have 40 broccoli and 136 lettuce for every 100 square feet. It's important to do this math because it's not always the case. Sometimes when you put two things together, all you end up doing is reducing the yield for those two things. But if you can plan properly with enough observation and experience, you can see that the broccoli and the lettuce are really good ones to have as companions. There's many other types of companion planting out there, and using a short harvest and a long harvest is just one method, but there are many others. For instance, many times you'll plant a root crop and a leaf crop together because they occupy different space in the same bed. There's a few other reasons you may want to have several different crops in the same space. Now with the image you see here, this is a broccoli and a lettuce crop, but notice they did not do the triangular spacing. Also, you can see that in between the broccoli, there is not a lettuce. And so they did do a broccoli row and a lettuce row, but notice there's a bit of extra space in there. And so we still see some weeds popping up, but it's better than nothing. If that was plain broccoli all by itself, there would be a lot of weed pressure and there would be a lot of unused irrigated soil. So let's think about other ways we may put plants together in order to achieve our goals and save space and time.